There we go.
Got it. Zoom. I was also reading today that Zoom is involved in some type of a class action lawsuit, and that's why that announcement comes now. Interesting. Things we learn in business. So I'm reading all these studies about belief system and placebo effect, and they did this study on anabolic steroids where they took these varsity athletes and they divided the 30 people into two groups, 15 and 15. Everybody was told they were getting Dianabol, which is a very powerful anabolic steroid. But what they found was the group that was not getting steroids, that was getting sugar water injections, had a 440% increase in muscle mass. They almost outperformed the steroid group, which was wild. Very small study, but really, really, again, the power of the mind to have an influence on how our body responds to whatever we're doing, which I think is so important. I always tell people that, you don't want to throw what we know. We don't want to throw that science out the window. Why not use the placebo? Why not use it to amplify whatever we're doing? Like, just build this rock steady base of what's more rock steady than the base of a pyramid? We want this base, this belief system they absolutely know beyond a shadow of a doubt that whatever you're doing is going to improve your state. And so we know things like magnetic fields are beneficial. We know grounding's beneficial. I know when I get sleep before midnight, I know those hours are twice as good as the time after midnight. I know water that's free from radiation, it's been structured and has good minerals, it's all good. But if I'm affirming like all the things that I'm doing, whether it's through a little mental exercise, whether it's through prayer, whether it's through a journal, I'm constantly amplifying everything I'm doing. So what a cool thing to know that we have that power in the body as far as how we understand reality to work. And so on our community call, we've got a nice little intimate group of 18 magical human beings here. And we're recording this call, so this will be great so people can hear this. I'll remind everybody, our community call is like the opportunity to really find support in other people that are using AmpCoil, using frequency, connecting with other human beings. It's really an open share. It's really, if we were in a village, we all happen to own AmpCoils, we would gather around a fire on the first Wednesday of the month, and we would tell stories about how we're doing with AmpCoil. And we would probably label this, guys, we're just going to talk about how your feelings, what your needs are, what your physical experience has been. Do you have any wins? Do you have any losses? And we would just share. And through that sharing, there would be some magical stuff happening. I could describe that further, but I kind of want to leave a little bit the imagination. So I really want to open it up today to the group. I really want to imply, if you haven't spoke on the community call before, this is a great first call to unmute yourself. Tell us what's going on, how your experience with your AmpCoil is going. Maybe you got a win. Maybe you want help. Maybe you've heard of another win. I have plenty. I have so many wins from the last month of people, or me calling people and follow-up calls, or me grabbing a support call by accident and hearing somebody's like, oh, you know what? I've never told you guys that, my daughter experienced this and this, and we've never really shared that. So I've got at least 10, but I'm boring and you guys hear me talk all the time. So I'd really love to hear from the Lindas, the Ginas, the Chads, the Evelyns, the Elizabeths, the Garys, the Marcuses, the Chowlas, the Daves, the Amelies, the Chads. So I'm going to turn it over. Go ahead and unmute. Somebody's got to go first. And I'm okay with silence too. We can also sit here and just breathe. I'm going to even mute my mic. We'll see how long the silence.
Okay, I have a little positive thing to share.
Go for it, Linda. Linda, wait, let's do this first. Okay. Linda, why don't you introduce yourself, where you're reaching us from, even though it might be in the chat, and then how long you've been working with an AmpCoil.
Okay. Okay, I'm from Greer, South Carolina. And I learned about AmpCoil from my acupuncturist, and she uses it in her office. And I had some wonderful results. But at $50 an hour, I decided I'd be better off buying my own.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was very generous and shared her commission with me.
Oh,
She was really wonderful. But so I'm still an uneducated user, and it has been a number of years, that I've had my AmpCoil.
uh-huh.
Long enough that I've actually paid it off. But I have not made good use of it. My most favorite thing is I am extremely sensitive to the moon,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to AmpCoil today because I'm 4 days away from a new moon.
Uh-huh.
And I'm literally sick if I do not AmpCoil before the full moon. And I mean, sick with a migraine. I mean, absolutely in bed for a whole day. And then with the new moon, I'm very sensitive to that too. And so with my limited ability to use the AmpCoil, I absolutely use it for the new moon and the full moon. And
Mm-hmm.
it saves me from days in bed.
Mm,
It's very powerful in that. I've used
amazing.
it for a lot of detoxing, and my experience is I think I'm too toxic, and it's very powerful, and I end up sick trying to detox off of it. I I don't have Lyme's disease. I'm just a toxic person who's been trying to use it. And I usually use the boosting things, and I definitely use the full moon, and I love that feature. But I know it's a very powerful machine, and I'm not getting the most out of it that I can.
That's a wonderful spot to start from, Linda. There's so much to unpack there. So what I'm hearing is that you love your AmpCoil.
Yes.
You know where it benefits and you know how to integrate it in your life right now. But I'm also hearing that you'd like to better understand your AmpCoil and be almost, maybe I'm going too far. You'd like to be a little more literate with the software and improvising and finding what to play at what times.
Yes, that is accurate.
I'm also hearing that you might want to find a workaround for when you hit a speed bump, like a detox reaction or a little hiccup, that you might be able to work through a little bit better.
Absolutely.
Great. So I want to make two offerings. And then if anybody else on the AmpCoil team or anybody, and this is a great time too, we have users out there. Everybody uses the AmpCoil differently. There are no rules to AmpCoil. I want to remind everybody that AmpCoil, we give guidelines. We're not dogmatic about the principles of how to use it. We know what we know. And then some people have their own, some people have found their own special little formula for them. I want to say that the great thing about your body is, the beautiful thing about your body, Linda, is that you understand, you can feel how it's you can feel how it's responding to the AmpCoil. So I think that's another great thing. That would be a slight word that I would use when I talk about my relationship with my AmpCoil. A couple phrases that pop for me, like I'm so toxic, or I react this way. Reacts to me, it's like you're getting hit with a rubber band. So I always like to sub out the word respond. And in that way, we can develop more of like a give and take relationship. I think that, from my understanding, the way the body works is that, and the way AmpCoil works, it works through entrainment. So if you're going to give your body let's just use some, what are some of the journeys you'd use around full moon support?
I use full moon. I usually have to use deep sleep, positivity. And I know I should do more things related to parasites, but that's where I end up having reactions.
Yeah. And let me ask you this. So have you used your lifeline Linda, have you ever used the lifeline of how many, let me ask you this, how many times have you connected with support on this specific issue?
Well, it's actually been a couple years since I tried.
Oh, cool.
I would say
Cool.
I have used the lifeline effectively.
Yes. So there are the pros, and I'll say this, we're always learning new things. Think about this. It's like AmpCoil's been around for 7 to 8 years, hundreds of thousands of journeys played safely. And over those journeys and all those support calls, we're always collecting data. So Lori always has these awesome little, nuggets of gold that she'll pick up. And that almost like that playbook kind of grows over time. So maybe it's just adding just minerals in the nutrition album with maybe like color from the nutrition album, and then something else allows us to kind of open door number 1, door number 2, and all of a sudden we can get through the parasite detox a little bit better. So I would say your number 1 step is to like either go through the tablet or go through the AmpCoil Help Center and just send out a request and say, it's been too long. It's been 2 years since I've been on the phone with the team. Can you help me come up with a working plan for this? I think to me, that would be like my number 1 recommendation.
Okay. That's great.
The other thing I'll say is from a non-AmpCoil human body perspective, one thing that I see a lot in the biohacking world, the level of integrating technology to upgrade biology, is that nothing works well without minerals. I did this great podcast with this guy lately, and he was like, vitamins don't even matter. And he explained it to me like how it's the base of the pyramid. That the cell's not going to utilize any vitamins if the mineral balance in the body isn't right. Because what minerals help us do is they create the energetic flow in and out of the cell. It's wild to think about that minerals like rule the game. And so that's another thing that I would just look at, and that is mineralization of your water, finding out how to do a mineral balance in your body, maybe working with your practitioner, exploring that topic a little bit. But that is something like, you mentioned the word parasites, and that is something, parasites have an affinity for the certain type of minerals and certain type of metals. So they're all opportunistic. It's all related. I think you touched on something really good there that I would keep exploring. Does anybody else want to add? Does anybody else have an offering for Linda, and anything that she said sparked something for you? Catherine, you look like you want to say something.
Hi, yeah, I'll jump in there. Linda, I'm with you that I feel like the full moon is very helpful. And if you're talking about trying to cleanse parasites, I've had some success. I probably did more than what the recommendation was with AmpCoil, but I did like during a full moon and passed some really cool ones. Also with the addition, with Freddie's talking, the minerals and everything, just something that I've had success with is just through cell core or microbe formulas, is through direct to consumer. They have wonderful products, and I've been on those as well. And it has really helped kind of detox in combination with AmpCoil. And I run AmpCoil 5 days a week, all week long. I just go to sleep with it and an hour at a time. And it's interesting though. I think, Freddie, you've talked about it before, but I do find it to be very intuitive after a while. You're like, oh, what I want to run. And you just just something seems right and you just run it and it works. But I've had a lot of success, and so much so that I doubled down and I bought my daughter an AmpCoil, and I'm waiting for it to be delivered. So
yay. I love it. Great tip. Great. Thank you. Does anybody else want to share to Linda?
Hi, Freddie. Let me share something.
Yes, please.
I see a functional medicine doctor, okay? And he talks about 5 levels of healing. And he talks about parasites, and he talks about heavy metals, and he of course talks about the emotional things and other things. But what you need to do is maybe Linda can see some functional medicine doctor if she knows of any, they have a way of checking if you have any parasites in your body, if you have any heavy metals, and a good doctor will also look at your teeth, make sure you don't have mercury in your mouth, because sometimes when you have heavy metals in your body, whether it's aluminum or mercury or lead, and that makes things worse with parasites. So you really need to see an MD who practices functional medicine, not a conventional MD. Unfortunately, these doctors do not take insurance, but they are really worth their money. And personally, I'm going to take my AmpCoil. This is my second AmpCoil. First AmpCoil, I didn't use it much. It was for my relative overseas. I sent it to her. And I'm going to get this AmpCoil from you, Freddie. Thank you very much for shipping it quickly. And I'm going to see my doctor on December 13th. And I'm going to ask him to fine tune that AmpCoil and create a special journey for me for any issues I have. Luckily, I don't have too many issues. At one time, I did have Lyme disease. I did have mercury in my mouth. And he told me, you need to get all this mercury out of your mouth first before, I can really treat you, which I did. So I'm on my path of recovery, and I'm going to use this AmpCoil to the umpteenth level, thanks to this doctor. And he believes in sound, he believes in vibrations, and he believes in PEMF. And so, Freddie, I'm really looking forward to using this AmpCoil, having him fine-tune this AmpCoil for me. So I will let you know how it works out after I've seen him and start using it for a few months. So that's what I want to say. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. I love it. Great share, Mr. Chawla. All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. All right. So we'll keep going. Who wants to go next?
I just, because you were talking about the full moon, I don't know if other people, I know for the last week or so, I felt like it was just a full moon every day. And my friend actually she works in the medical field, and she texted me, was asking if it was a full moon, because she's like, what's going on? And you might notice that probably another 2 weeks, but our last full moon was an eclipse, and this new moon is as well. And those tend to hold that moon energy, because they're basically the full moon on steroids. So we're gonna feel that energy a little longer and more powerfully. So I just wanted to share that in case, as someone also sensitive to the moon's energy, you were feeling that a little differently this month.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Always good to be aware of. All right. Who else wants to share?
Freddie, I want to add one more item, if I may.
Sure.
One of the things that we all should do, which I do, is especially when you go to sleep, please turn off your Wi-Fi. Please turn off your Wi-Fi, because Wi-Fi can create a lot of problems, according to what I've heard from my doctors. I've heard more than one doctor talking about the negative effect of Wi-Fi. So just keep that in mind.
Great tip. Yep, I've been doing that myself. I have my Wi-Fi on a timer at night. I've been trying to remember to turn it off. It can be very helpful. Experiment. Experiment. Check, turn it off. See how you sleep. I think that's the litmus test, right? If you sleep a little better, if you notice your sleep latency, if you're falling to sleep quicker, more deep sleep, less wake up times, it's a great little test to do, and an easy biohack. All right. Who else wants to share? Does anybody have any AmpCoil wins? All right, I'm gonna go down.
Hey, Fred.
Gary,
Hey, Freddie.
Oh,
It's Marcus.
Marcus, you got there first.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's not, well, I guess it's technically my win, but it's a win for everybody. I'm just gonna read it because I'm in a loud place just listening in. Brielle, do you remember Brielle?
Yes, I
She's
do.
waiting for her AmpCoil. Okay, so she's waiting for her AmpCoil now. Has Lyme's, and she borrowed mine until hers is getting in, hopefully in the next week or so.
Mhm.
And I just checked in on her today, and her response was, "Hi, Marcus. Thank you for checking in. I'm feeling so much better. The AmpCoil has helped me so much. It's amazing. I haven't started any detox protocols and just been taking it slow, using it every other day, and still waiting for my AmpCoil to show up." So, I mean, I think that's a good testament to not even doing detox protocols and doing all the supporting journeys, and to see how much that could influence the body getting into balance and doing what it's supposed to do.
Yeah. 100%. Even working with the nervous system, just relax all. We've had so many people tell us, even with just doing relax all, positivity, deep sleep, those can be wonderful. It can be a wonderful bridge till you're ready to get into the detox album. I love it. Great share. Gary, do you want to go?
Sure, and you did a perfect lead in for me. I've just been doing some real simple things, having some challenges over the last few months, just settling my nervous system with all the political stuff and this and that going on. So I've run positivity quite a bit, and then just recently Relaxol as well. And
Mhm.
it's just remarkable how my nervous system settles for days afterwards, like substantially. So yeah, that's been working great.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's a great reminder. I've been leaning into detox assist. That's always the magical journey for me. Anytime I have pain, it's always amazing to me how much it takes down inflammation in my body. And I agree. Relaxol has just been a savior, and a person who tends to just lean into or allow the sympathetic dominance to kind of let it run away. We'll keep going. Catherine, you have a beautiful Christmas tree. Does anybody else has Christmas trees up? If so, turn your camera on. I don't have a tree, but I booked my flight home to Buffalo, so there'll be a tree there for Christmas. I got to work with a sports medicine doctor Tuesday morning for 2 hours, which is always a great experience for me to get to work with somebody in the field of very, very well educated, 30-year sports medicine doctor, spine and pain management. And I got to meet up with him to do a demo. And this guy had $1 million worth of technology in his office. He's got the full body vibe plates. He's got 3 Pulse Centers of America PEMF devices. He's got a cryo machine, 6 different like neck adjustment tables, everything. And it was really interesting to sit down and do an AmpCoil and let him experience what it is. It's like, am I going to feel anything? Am I going to vibrate? Am I going to have electrodes running through my body? I was like, no. And I had him hold a magnet and let him just chill out. But before we did it, now this is the one cool thing is, I have the advantage of having the HRV vital scan, which scans your nervous system, the heart rate variability, and it does your predominant brainwave states. So his initial scan, it was pretty rough. It was like a stress response of like 120. The range is 10 to 100. And then there was some other stuff that was really low, like his vital force. But we ran a session. He got up. He's like, well, I can move better. I feel a little bit different. And he's like, but we rescanned him, and it was, his stress response went from a 120 to a 40. So we cut it by 2/3. And in just running, we just ran demo harmonizer, and then I ran color. And so it's this really like massive shift, and like his brain changed, and like the way his nervous system was structured on the pie chart. It was amazing to see. And And so it looks really, it's really interesting explaining to him like how he would integrate this with a bunch of athletes that are used to like, deep tissue massage and like shock therapy and cryo. And I just kept saying to him, the thing that you guys have all mentioned is nervous system tone. The treatments are great, but if you can put someone's nervous system in a state, like Gary said, for 2 days or 3 days, where the nervous system is in a state of auto-regulation, then the body's doing the majority of the work for 3 days. You don't need to be, whacked by the analogy of like whacking the dinner bell with a hammer, or it's like the tuning fork. You can work with, we can use force as opposed to like brute power. Power versus Force, great book, David Hawkins. So anyways, that was one of my wins. I have another one from Instagram, but I want to open it up and go ahead and let anybody unmute. Rebecca, you kind of look like you want to talk. Maybe it's because you got your camera on. You're like, nope, not doing it. Nope. Maybe you're like, I think maybe your mic doesn't work too. I think that could be it.
Freddie, I'm just curious from your friend the person that you just scanned that you were talking about, he initially said he felt a little bit better. Did you follow up like any extended time after? And did he recognize that maybe there were other benefits that like the analytics are great, but I'm just wondering if he also could recognize in his body some other changes other than just initially.
He felt enough benefit that he wants to like try a unit for a month in his clinic, and he wants to see how it's going to work on patients with TMJ. He's really interested in finding a solution for jaw clinchers. And he said that's like one thing in his arena that he really has a problem correcting. So that was kind of I was like, well, I think I had pretty strong confidence we're going to make a dent and a nervous system dysfunction, which is not allowing that pattern to let go. So we'll probably get a little creative with him, but yeah. And then he does want to do another session. So enough to like, he was very piqued to want to try it again. Yeah. And it's tough. This is a guy who has all the tools, all the things, incredible shape, like huge muscle guy, very, very big dude. Elite performance, taking all the supplements. So it's sometimes when somebody that's tuning and toning that much, it's hard to tell them what the shift is. I'm the same way. If somebody sends me something like, oh, you got to try this, this is awesome. And I'm like, well, I feel like 99 to 100%. So it's hard for me to say like, what the thing was, unless I go a couple days without doing anything and then retest. Yeah, but it was a great conversation. Great demo. Jessa, do you want to take just a minute and talk about our Fast Start program? Just to mention it before we get to the later. I know sometimes you try to get it in the later start of the call.
I would love to. Thank you.
That sounds great. Yeah.
Yes. So for anybody tuning in, maybe watching the recording, maybe you're hearing this for the first time on this call, we have a special, very, very special opportunity right now for our AmpCoil owners, where we have upped the referral reward amount available. So what I mean is, as an AmpCoil owner, we have a pay it forward program. So you all may be familiar with this. We don't, not everybody even knows about this opportunity, but we like to say thank you when you tell somebody about the AmpCoil and they end up purchasing. Maybe you give them a demo and they end up purchasing. And how we say thank you is by paying you a referral reward. And generally these rewards that we pay are $250 when you tell somebody about the device and $250 when you give them a demo. But right now, until the new year, if you reach out to me and say you're in, we will onboard you as an AmpCoil ambassador. And our AmpCoil ambassador program is free to join. It's very low commitment. Basically, you do a training. It's a 1-hour Zoom call with me and Jackie, and it's really fun. And we'll give you all the info you need to be sharing the AmpCoil with your communities in the best way possible. You take a little quiz, and then basically you're onboarded as an ambassador. And the only requirements to maintain this ambassadorship are to keep up with our ambassador calls. We send out recordings every month. And then we love when you can join them live. They're such amazing calls. We're really forming a tight-knit group of people offering the AmpCoil, and it feels like family. And then, so once you're an ambassador, we are offering our new ambassadors a bonus amount of referral rewards when they share the AmpCoil with their communities. So as of right now, if you sign up till the new year, you have 90 days, and the first 4 devices that you sell that are purchased based on your referrals, whether that be you tell somebody about the device, you give them a demo, maybe both, you're able to make quite a bit more on referral rewards. So I am just going to share my screen. So hopefully that's more simple. I know this is kind of a lot of information. And here we go. Can I still share? I can. So here's a little graph that spells it out for you. So so when you tell somebody about the device right now and they end up purchasing, we are rewarding $1,000 per what we call a word of mouth referral for up to 4 devices. The demo referral as an ambassador, you'll receive $500. So that's a total of $1,500 for each device sold, up to 4 devices. And then if you sell 4 of them within this 90-day period, we will give you an extra $2,000 holiday end of year thank you. So you can actually make up to $8,000 right now by becoming an AmpCoil ambassador and spreading the beautiful, beautiful word about this technology. And if this is something that feels a little bit edgy for you, you don't want to, you're not sure exactly how to share the technology or what that would look like, we have a 4-part training series available to you that has been very, very helpful, I think, and we've gotten that feedback from many ambassadors. So as an ambassador, you'll have access to this training series that will help you learn how to share the device with your networks, and in a really real, authentic, heart-centered way, right? This technology is amazing. It's beautiful. It's helped so many of us, and it's natural to want to spread that with the people who we love and know and care about. So that's that. I'm going to drop my email in the chat right now. And for those of you tuning in afterwards, it is ambassadors@ampcoil.com. And I hope to hear from more and more of you. Yeah, I think that's my share. Thanks, Freddie.
Great, thank you. All right, I see one. I am in, please. Awesome. Awesome. So we have, it's 7:10. Like I said, I have some additional wins, but I'm going to be reading them, and they're from Instagram and stuff. So I would just as soon open up the floor and continue to let you guys share. Does anybody have anything going on in their life they can use support with in the AmpCoil world? We're happy to help. Sometimes it's nice to just get on and you can just say hi. Maybe it's somebody who's never talked on the call before.
I have a question.
Yes, Joan.
I just would love to glean some knowledge from anybody who would like to share. You know, when I open up my nutrition journey and I'm just doing, you know, the long one or the short one, I often wonder, why am I running these things? What does spirulina mean? What does hydration or amino acids or color or minerals? What am I doing for myself? I'm just kind of curious if anybody has knowledge about that.
Well, the minerals, you're getting the resonant frequencies associated with those minerals. And what Lori often says is the receptor sites are almost fired up. So the next time you drink your mineral infused water or you have minerally dense food, that you're better absorbing those. The color spectrum is the frequency. You're getting the frequencies of those different colors. Each frequency is a Hertzian wave, a wavelength. So it'd be like, you know, there is something called color therapy. So you're getting that in the form of sound. You know, I've found that running color is a great heart opener. Or sometimes if somebody's just a little shut down, sometimes I'll just play color in the nutrition album and I'll front load that to playing another journey. So it can just be a nice little doorway into another journey. I've really liked playing that. And if somebody's got some extra time, but they don't quite have an hour, or they don't quite have the full, you know, another 33 minutes to sit through another step, I'll often just play one of those items from the nutritional album. And again, you know, those spirulina is an algae that's associated with assisting the body to help detox pathways. So you're getting, again, those resonant frequencies that would be delivered into the body associated with that mineral in that album. And then if you wanted really, really detailed answer, that would be something you could also, you could ask Lori or Marie or anybody in the support team for that.
Okay.
Jackie, do you want to add anything? Nope. Did somebody start to go?
Yeah, John, I want to say something. What I learned from my functional doctor is that every item has a certain frequency. For example, spirulina will have some frequency. Something like that is a chlorella, which is chlorella is another algae that really helps you detoxify yourself. So if you have any parasites in your body, for example, they are emitting some frequency. And these doctors, what they do is they bring that a vial with that same parasite next to your body. And if you have that particular parasite in your body, they will be resonating at the same frequency. So, and they do muscle testing, and this is how they find out that you have a certain parasite in your body or certain heavy metal. So every matter on earth emits a certain frequency, and AmpCoil works on frequencies. That's why I'm so excited, Freddie, because you work on frequencies.
I love it. Yes, we do. I'll add, you know, another way to think about it, Joan, is that because somebody on the webinar, I thought it was really a great question today. Somebody said, well, how do you know that Relaxol is going to work for me because I'm different than you, and I'm different than Jackie, and I'm different than Jessa? And that's true. We're all biologically different, but the reason things feel the way they do is their vibration. You know, we're at a very fast vibration, human beings, a high vibration. Do you know what I mean? Your quartz tabletop in your kitchen, that's a very slow, dense vibration. But quartz feels like quartz. Quartz is all going to have a very similar resonant frequency. If you want to feel different tissue on your body, like touch your skin or touch your fingernail or touch your hair or poke in your eyeball or like touch we've all gone to the butcher shop, and if we're not vegetarian, we've seen liver, right? Liver feels different than muscle meat. You know, and yes, they're different. All the cows are different, but liver feels like liver. So that is going to have a pretty close range, right? It's not vastly different. Liver is liver. You know, quartz is quartz, skin is skin, hair is hair. So in that respect, you're starting to see the world as just like a great big piano with lots of keys. They all make a sound. You say frequency or you can say sound. So that's what we're working with. you know, and yes, everything does have a vibration. That's a one way to think about it. And when we're working with frequency, when we're working with sound therapy, you know, we're working with a musical interlude that finds a commonality in that frequency. We say resonance or a resonant vibration. The analogy I give on the discovery webinar is, you know, if you have two aluminum tuning forks and you strike one, like nothing else, and if this is tuned to an A flat and this tuning fork picks up the resonance and starts to sing the A flat. Nothing else in the couch doesn't start to sing. My computer doesn't start to sing. It's only this tuning fork, because it's tuned to its song. It knows its song. So when we find something tuned to the same vibration, we can send information back and forth, and then it's expressed in that auditory pattern. Does that help a little bit?
Oh, that's tremendous. Thank you.
Yeah.
I do have another question too, because I've been trying to find answers. Like, simply, I should just waited for this call, and I wouldn't have to spend hours of reading through a whole bunch of what I call fiber, right? It's not really valuable stuff, but you got to get through it to find the nugget somewhere. Well, you are the nugget. But I read this piece of information about a sine wave is a healing wave. So if you have a sine wave coming into your body, it will heal. But if you have a square wave, it's like guns. It's like, going to get that virus or that microbe that's in the cell, and it's going to burst it open, and it's like the guns. And I'm thinking, well, do I have a machine that is guns, or do I have a machine that heals? Does anybody know anything about those waves?
Well, we use a sine wave at AmpCoil. That's and I would also take, sorting through the fiber. It's a little bit, you got to take a little bit with a grain of salt. There's a lot of regurgitated information on the internet. I mean, listen, we only know what we know, but I try to find the nuggets of truth by things that I can test and see value, and then test again and see value. And so through a process of deduction, we can find commonalities where we have overlapping truths. So, but I would just, Jackie, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I would just say that that sounds very much like an idea or a theory that somebody has, rather than something that's evidenced. So I would be astounded to find some kind of real research or evidence that if you use a certain type of wave, and that you see a viral cell or a microorganism being destructed in the body. That's a really large claim, and likely designed to move people through an understanding for more of a sales process or a sharing of somebody's personal understanding, rather than something that I would agree would be objectively accurate. So I don't know if that's helpful.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I don't, I wouldn't jump to believe that that's so.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And it's a valid theory, and there's lots of technology that's based on that. And I definitely talked to doctors that have seen that to be true. Joan, they've used certain sound waves and they have an effect on bacteria, or how fast the bacteria grows or doesn't grow. And I mean, but to say only one wave will do this or do that, I don't think people have done that. So I think that's where it's confusing. To say this is what the square wave does and it only does this. Well, can a sine wave that has this big rolling, it's like, think about a sine wave that's covering a lot of ground. When you think about the rolling trough of like 20 hertz, it covers a lot of space. So is it possible that makes enough vibration to make a shift in the body, where then the body can come in and do something beneficial on the other side? I don't think the research has been done about people testing different types of sound waves against other sound waves through the same delivery method. I'm pretty sure, but who knows? I think, again, what we're working with, and what so many of the people that wrote the software for AmpCoil is that you know, we're relying on the fact that the body is a self-healing body. The body's an auto-regulating body. The body has an immune system that goes in and eats pathogens, viruses, disease, senescent, dead immune cells, cancers. You know, we want to activate the body's natural healing mechanisms because what else is that intuitive?
Mhm.
So that's why I'm such a big fan of not just, again, so, you know, I had a conversation with a woman today. It was like, well, I want to kill this and kill this and kill this. I was like, well, we already can do that with antibiotics and ozone.
Yeah.
We have all these killing things, but I see a lot of people doing those. I don't necessarily see them getting better. So, you know, maybe it's working with the body
Mhm.
and trusting that the body has a little more magic than we give it credit.
Mhm.
You know, AKA the study that we quoted at the beginning of the call, that the body is like, whoa, the body grew 440% more muscle growth just for a belief system that it was being given an anabolic steroid. You know, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, you want to work with the overall balance, bringing the body back into balance, and entrainment, to entrain the cells back to a healthy place so that they can do what it is that they do naturally. Always better than just every time you go in and knock something out, you're disrupting the homeostasis, you're disrupting the wellness of the being. So, you know, Freddie, that's a great point. You know, you can take antibiotics and kill bacteria, but then everything else is out of balance around it. So
Yeah. And I think antibiotics, obviously they're brilliant. It's like it's a life-saving discovery that's incredible at times.
Yep.
And there'll be times you probably want antibiotics. Maybe you don't, but I think there'll be times when I think it's, you know, you use the scientific technology that we have, but then you also can lean into, you know, the magic that's present in the human body that I think we discount too easily. I think we give away the power too easily, in my opinion. Great questions, Joan.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. Anybody probably got time for one more? Dave, Amelie, Becky, Evelyn, Gina. Gina, do you want to ask us anything? You're a couple months into your AmpCoil usage.
Not at the moment. I connected with someone the other day and have a plan in place. So
Great.
good at the moment.
Cool. How are you liking our support team?
It's good. Yeah, they've
Great.
been very responsive so far. Yeah, it's been good.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
thank you.
All right. Good to hear your voice.
I appreciate the reminder to use the support team. I need to do that too.
Yes. Yep.
I've
It's
been
good. Listen, I should use the support team.
finding the need to use the Wellness 2020 a lot, especially after being around people. I put that on, go to sleep.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily, I'm sensitive to feeling that I need it, but through muscle testing, that's the one that comes up.
Yeah.
So it's, and I wonder what that's about.
Yeah. Here, I'll read I love it. I feel great on Wellness 2020. I do part one a lot
Hey, Freddie.
for some reason.
Yeah.
Your
sound is like coming in and out just a bit. You might need to say that last part over again.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Wellness 2020. That it's I see that.
Good.
Oh, now I'm good. Okay. I just got your internet is unstable mark.
Okay.
Yeah. I just said I've been running part one a lot from Wellness 2020. I always feel great after that.
Mhm.
I'm trying to find. I had a great. Here we go. Here, I'll read a win from Instagram. Oh, that's really small print. Really small. Okay, and that's like a clinical report. Okay, essentially, we had a user with recently diagnosed with MS and right optic nerve neuritis, clinical representation of acute visual disturbance in the right eye, yada, 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 yada. They've been using AmpCoil. They've experienced a complete resolution of the neuritis and completely healed. And so they had their pre and post scans from their doctor they just sent us. And then she said, this is hilarious because this woman has ordered an AmpCoil, but she's continuing to work with her lovely ambassador in Phoenix, Arizona, whose name is escaping me right now. D. Said my baby's ears were filled with fluid. She was scheduled for surgery on 12/7. We ran gentle, the ear detox, and did red light therapy in 1 month, and her ears are completely drained. And she went from hearing underwater to hearing within a normal range. And we have now canceled her surgery. Her ENT was thrilled and said there was going to be no need for my child to go into the hospital.
Oh,
Big win.
that's
I get some cool ones on Instagram, team. It's pretty cool. So 7:27, let's just do a little centering breath unless anybody has anything else. Someone said, Evelyn says, how often do you run Wellness 2020? I think as needed. I probably do. I don't know. I do it once every other week. I'm going to be traveling for the holidays. I'll be no doubt running it before and after I get on a plane. Yeah, as needed. As needed. Jessa, do you have anything as we close?
I do not. No, I thought I'm just happy for everybody that joined us. Yeah, December. Here we are finishing up our December community circle call, and we'll be back with these calls next year. Hope to hear from you all and see you all before then. Maybe on our upcoming ambassador call, the third Thursday of the month. You have time to sign up for the Fast Start program before that, and then I'll send you out an email. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
And for the ambassadors on the call, right? We've got a training call tomorrow, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah, we have our final training in the
Yeah.
the 4-part series, right?
Yeah.
Which is wonderful.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Jackie, you have anything to say to close?
Yeah, just deeply appreciate everybody being here. Beautiful call, beautiful energy.
Wonderful. All right, team. Thank you for being here. We're going to close this one down. Let's go to our participants. Ask all to unmute. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Holidays.
Bye, Gary.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.